Hello, hello, and welcome to Creation Watch. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hello to everybody out there in live from the Hive, because this is recorded live with my Hive every Saturday morning. If you want to be here in the live audience and maybe get your questions read, you definitely hit that subscribe button and catch us every Saturday. So thank you so much for joining in. Creation Watch is where we take a look at some of the wild claims coming from the quarters of young Earth creationism and alternative history and flat Earth lore. So the reason I led with Kent Hovind, obviously, is because we are celebrating the downfall of the Dinosaur Adventureland YouTube network, I guess you would call it. They're falling like dominoes right now. They've lost multiple channels. They've lost the Kent Hovind official, which was the main one they were broadcasting from. They've lost Matt Powell left, and I think he took his Matt Powell official with him, so that's no longer coming out of the Dinosaur Adventureland production studio anymore. So that's going to be coming out of Matt's private studio, I imagine, moving forward. Whatever he's putting out, but so that left, so they parted ways.
I don't know about that, brother.
Kent has had his Kent Hovind official channel taken down. Then he had the Dinosaur Adventureland YouTube channel taken down. Now he has the Baptist Church channel and his Doc Dino channel that are still up. Last time I checked. Please feel free to go out and look and see if they're still there. I haven't looked this morning. Genesis Baptist Church. It's still up. Okay. I am not careful with the bee puns. I will bee pun, and that's what Tina is here for. That's what I've actually hired Tina to make sure that she doesn't have to just stick to bee puns. She can do insect puns all she wants, but I actually pay Tina $17 a stream to make bee puns every time she shows up. So I guess I wasn't supposed to tell you guys that. Oops. All right, but I'm not actually going to cover Kent Hovind today, but it is in Creation Watch often is about young Earth creationism today. So there are a lot of organizations that promote this idea, young Earth creationist, the biblical timeline that's based on the 6,000 years calculated through the genealogies by a bishop, I believe it was, a Catholic bishop, that stacked them all up and made a timeline about it. And I see Vandalia out there too. I just want to say this one's for you, because tonight we are going to be getting crabby with it. I had crabs in my intro too. This is kind of a crabby episode. It's been pretty crabby, and this is going to be no exception here, because we're talking about just to reiterate, we're revisiting an old friend, Answers in Genesis, which we just covered recently too, but we covered Answers Kids and looked at their claims. Now their claims they're directing at children, but this one's not even directed at children. This is not just a claim about evolution, right? It's a claim about what evolutionists have said in the past. So let's go.
The Tale of the Heike is considered one of the great classics of medieval Japanese literature. It's primarily an epic about samurai warrior culture, which ultimately laid the groundwork for Japanese Bushido ideology, or what's known as the Way of the Warrior.
Agreed. Yeah, I also thought this part was interesting. I haven't done anything in a long time that involved Japanese culture, which you guys know I love, mostly through Godzilla and that kind of media, but I like old samurai movies and stuff too. If I get a chance to watch them, I really do. But like Should probably clip more of them. Anyway, continue on.
The Heike is roughly divided into 3 sections. It includes a number of love stories and features some very memorable characters, such as the arrogant, evil, and ruthless central figure of the first section, Taira no Kiramori, who's described as so consumed by the fires of hatred that his fevered body won't cool even while immersed in water after death. It's pretty theatrical stuff. Of course, a good drama usually includes some pivotal action scenes, and the Heike doesn't disappoint. It includes a central confrontation based in real history between the imperial rulers of Japan, the Taira clan, and the Minamoto clan.
This is like in 1158 or something like that.
Which lead to the famous Battle of Den no Ura on April 24th, 1185 AD.
Oh, I was early. Sorry.
Ruling Taira clan, also known as the Heike, keep that in mind for later, had ruled Japan for many decades and was led by their child emperor, Entoku. But being massively outnumbered in this battle, they were soundly defeated. Now, as the legendary part of the story goes, in a climactic moment, seeing their doom was inevitably upon them, General Tokiko, rather than allowing the 7-year-old emperor to be captured by the opposing...
I couldn't remember where I was remembering this guy from. This is the same guy who did the we covered it about the hairy the woman with the fur disease, right? This is the same guy, I think. What's his name? Calvin Smith? Is that who this is? Calvin Smith. Who is Calvin Smith? That's kind of a common... excuse me, that's kind of a common name. Let me see. Calvin Smith, Answers in Genesis. This is him here. Calvin Smith has spoken to churches across Canada. All right. Calvin Smith, Creation Basics. Okay. Yeah, he's just so he's a presenter. That's fine. It's fine. I don't have any shade to throw. There you go.
Opposing forces, leaps into the water with him, drowning him, with most loyal members and generals of the Taira clan following them through their death with honor. Legend says that Entoku later came to be worshipped as Mizo Nukami, the god of water. And this is where the tale begins to relate to our topic, the question of ultimate origins. You see, Hycopsis japonica, or what is known as dorip, is a species of crab native to Japan, and it has a shell.
True. He's got this right.
That bears a pattern resembling a human face, which may relate to the face of an angry samurai, hence the nickname, the
like a samurai mask, right?
Samurai crab. And it was once said that these crustaceans were ghostly reincarnations of the Heike warriors, defeated at the Battle of Dan no Ura, transformed into crabs.
It's actually in the genus name for this for these crabs. They're it's they like some call them the Heike crabs, but yeah, samurai crabs is a more common name.
That watery grave that each bear the grotesque visage of an armored samurai's face. The Heike crab. As a matter of fact, in the 1964 Japanese anthology film Kwaidan, the narrator recounts the story of the Battle of Dan no Ura and explains the myth, along with some prominent footage of the crabs being illustrated. Now, how does this relate to the issue of Genesis creation versus the evolutionary story? So,
I have a theory, and this is what I think that the evolutionary model would say about this circumstance, right? The crabs existed first, right? The crabs with this pattern on them because of the way that the ridges are raised and everything. The crabs existed first. There was this battle, and it did happen the way it was recorded and everything. So a myth arose around the fact that those crabs looked like that because of this battle, even though the notion of the samurai crab, I believe, predates this actual battle. That as long as we've known about these crabs, we've always thought of them looking like samurai mask. As long as it's the pareidolia, right? That's what we do. We're pattern-seeking monkeys.
Commonly held in our culture today. Well, there have been a vast number of iconic but often very misleading and sometimes downright fraudulent evidences used over the years to convince people of the story of evolution. peppered moths, Piltdown men, Haeckel's embryo drawings, the vestigial appendix, etc., evolutionary evidences have come and gone over time, many of them even having been soundly rebutted and thrown out by evolution-believing scientists themselves. But despite this, certain prize horses in the evolutionary stable of ideas still persist in textbooks, video programs, and other evolutionary presentations to this day. And oftentimes, even if they're no longer accepted in the mainstream of modern evolutionary thinking, they're still stuck in people's minds as being authentic and persuasive, as they never check to see whether they were simply victims of the fake news of the day many years ago. And the Heike crab is just one such example of evidence for naturalism that's persisted in evolutionary lore.
I've let him ramble here for long enough. I had to go get some clippers. I had a hangnail. It's been driving me crazy. I looked for him between the last two shows, but I didn't have time to find them, and I just remembered where they were. And you won't believe where they were. In my purse, right over there. Anyway, yeah, so he's going to make some claims about some quote mines here. So,
since 1952, when the grandson of Charles Darwin's bulldog
I don't have water today. I need to go grocery
published
shopping.
An article titled
Evolution's Copycats. His goal was to use an
I will drink my coffee for now.
selection that could be
Thank you,
easily
Ring.
understood to explain its
Drink
ability
water
to
as
cause
soon as I can,
creatures to
okay?
adapt.
Then extrapolate that idea to try to persuade his audience that all of life's incredible design could be explained naturalistically through evolutionary processes, reinforcing his atheistic views. Huxley's original article in Life magazine described how he believed these crabs came by such a striking feature.
Don't know if it's that they said they came by the striking feature, but let's go.
And his argument was
Let's see what he
basically as
says.
follows. When superstitious Japanese fishermen saw
Crabs with any likeness to a samurai mask, they threw them back, benefiting crabs with a face. All crabs have a face already before the superstition. The superstition arose from the crabs having the face. The more prominent the face, perhaps, the more likely they were to get thrown back. This is the same thing that we see today with the tuskless elephants being more prominent in a population. If you don't hunt the elephants with no tusk and only hunt the ones with tusk, only the ones with tusk are going to be sustained in the population. In much of the same way, all of these crabs have this pattern on the bottom of them. The more prominent, the more it resembles a human face, the more it looks like a human face. They all look somewhat like a human face, but the more so it does, the more likely they are to get thrown back when they're caught in a net, right? Simple, simple.
Crabs with any likeness to a samurai's mask, they threw them back, benefiting crabs with a face, resulting in more and more crabs with a more clearly designed samurai mask over time. Interestingly, he reasoned that the resemblance of these crabs' carapace...
Right, more clearly, though. He already acknowledges that they probably started off resembling a samurai mask. Not that they resemble a samurai mask because these ones were... because the crabs didn't evolve like a samurai mask in order to not be caught. That's not how this is...
to an angry Japanese warrior was far too specific and detailed to be accidental, and thus could only have been...
No, that's not what he said. You are fabricating that part of it. He said that that the more prominent and the more it looked like that, the more that it captured that visage, the more likely it was to get thrown back. But not that it got the visage because it was getting thrown back. It was already there. That feature was already part of...
brought about by means of natural selection operating over many centuries. The caption on a Heike crab picture in Huxley's original article reads, "Superstitious Japanese people do not eat Heike crab because its shell appears to be imprinted with the likeness of a medieval warrior." Now,
True. Pareidolia. It's fun. And it worked in the crab's favor too, because we don't eat them when they look like this because of superstitions about them.
it's easy to see how this example of evolution in action came to be so popular. It's pretty logical, has an interesting story attached, and has some cool historical details embedded within it that make it very memorable. Even though most informed modern creationists...
Look how smugly he twists this. Everything he said is true, and he's just misunderstanding it. From the very beginning, from Huxley, No, and not, it's not. From what Huxley said about it at the very beginning about it, the ones that looked more prominent, he made it out like he was saying that they got that pattern to avoid getting eaten. That's not the claim. They already had the pattern.
Seeing this today would likely be yawning at this supposed proof of evolution, because they understand natural selection only allows creatures to adapt within limits and doesn't cause the types of changes that could evolve anything in the particles to people sense. Many people back then bought it as strong evidence for the story of evolution.
It's still evidence for evolution. What are you talking about? Crabs evolve. That's true. That's something that happens. We know that. Actually, crabs evolving is what I'm going to be talking with tonight on Vandalia 1998. Are you still with me out there? Drop a link if you are. Vandalia 1998. We're going to be talking carcinization in just a few short hours, actually. So that'll be fun. Bridge the Divide. Good to see you. Happy you were able to catch some failure of creationism here. This is, he's like loudly misunderstanding. Yeah, drop our link tonight, homie. What are you doing, Vandalia? Yes, carcinization is a prominent part of the evolution process in arthropods. It is something they tend to do. If there's a niche that they can carcinize themselves into, they sure as hell will. If there's a little hole that they need to squeeze into, they become crab. It's just what arthropods like to do. They also have a process that they go through called great limbs. If there's not a species in the environment that has great limbs, which are big heavy claws, big heavy forelimbs, they will grow them just to make sure that something in the environment has that feature. Arthropods have we're all bilaterate, right? We're split down this in halfway, and that's part of why this crab thing that we're able to pick this face out, because our faces are bilateral like a crab's carapace. So all it has to have, it's just like butterfly wings with eye spots on them, right? All you have to have is symmetrical patterns that happen to look like this to help to be a favorable feature to have. Hey, suddenly these two big spots look like are helping us to tour predators, and they become more and more specialized. The more they look like eyes, the more likely they are to deter predators in the population. So they keep passing them on down. Just keep passing them on down.
And its acceptance continued to grow even more, likely because of its being promoted by one of the most prominent evolutionary popularizers of the 1970s, Carl Sagan.
Hail Sagan! Come on, live chat, hail Sagan. He's on the screen.
Both in his book and...
We got to worship our atheist lord, our atheist cult leaders. Yeah, starfish are not bilateral. They start out bilateral though when they're in their larval stages, and then they're like, nah, we're gonna be radial instead. Sorry. Yeah, but they're closer related to us than arthropods too. They kind of they're like, nah, we don't like this. We're going back to the radial. Like crabs, like most things that you call a crab, they're not all in the same family. That's what carcinization is all about. And tune into Vandalia's show tonight, and we're going to talk about why. But when they go through their development and their embryonic development, they have the tail. They're kind of like a lobster or a shrimp. It just fuses back together as they develop. So that's carcinization. That's what we see. It happens with spiders too, to a lesser degree. They have little whippy tails when they're developing. They're kind of like early on they look kind of like little face hugger aliens.
In his Cosmos TV series, Sagan argued like this: how does it come about that the face of a warrior is cut on the carapace of a Japanese crab? How could it be? The answer seems to be that humans made this face. If you're a crab and your carapace is just ordinary, the humans are going to eat you. But if it looks a little bit like a face, they'll throw you back, and you'll be able to have lots of nice little baby crabs that all look just like you.
Yeah, this is, okay, so this is like hyperbolic though. I mean, it's not, this is Sagan trying to explain the way the process works to an audience of children, right? In the most simple way possible. It comes across as Lamarckian, but we all know that Sagan was not a Lamarckian evolutionist. That's not the type of evolution he believed in. But unfortunately, explaining it as Lamarckian progress, at least in the 70s, was sort of, the lines were sort of blurred. And we didn't know as much about the genetics of it as we do now. So in the 1970s, it could have been perfectly acceptable. I don't know. I was born in 1983, but this idea of how evolution works, this Lamarckian idea here, has never been an accepted model in my time. But I know that older people in my area, older people that are science believers and not creationists at all, still have a Lamarckian concept of evolution. Now, Lamarckian concepts is like what he's saying here, like because this feature, like this, make this feature more prominent because it'll make us more successful, is what is passed on from parent to child. That hey, if you have this feature, then you're more likely to survive. That's not how it works. It's more like, hey, the portion of the population that has this slight variation is slightly more successful, is really how it works. You can't explain it on an individual basis like what this Sagan quote is saying. This is him trying to, as far as I can see, him trying to make this palpable to a layperson's understanding, specifically a child's understanding, because that's a lot of his science stuff was where people got. I think this, you're talking the 70s. This type of programming was a blessing that we even had this on public television. So this is what we got. A lot. And Sagan was good for his flowery language. Some of my favorite science quotes are Sagan's because of the language that he uses, but it's not to be taken at face value when he's giving I shouldn't say not to be taken at face value as a literal example. Anyway, that's enough of a rant about that.
Yeah. Well, at the time, this all seemed pretty powerful to many a layperson and science student alike. But as we're about to see, aside from the historical details about the battle of the two clans, it's a complete fabrication. But it's one that
he does not have any proof that it's a complete fabrication. We'll get there, don't worry.
Many uninformed skeptics still bring up.
I see some new friends in the side chat, so I'm just going to say hi real quick to, yeah, everybody's out there hailing Satan, or not Satan, Sagan. Hail Sagan like good little science cult nerds. But hello, Tapioca Weasel, and hello, did I see Stephanie Helms? Good to see you. And Bridge the Divide, welcome.
As supposed scientific proof of evolution, and a reason to deny the God of the Bible. Now, as mentioned, even if true, this example of natural selection would be no big deal anyway, because natural selection is a process that selects from genetic information already available.
Right. No one's claiming that this is from genetic information that wasn't already available. That's never been a claim.
Within the DNA of a creature. Whereas what evolution requires is brand new genetic information for never before seen forms, functions, and features.
False. No, evolution can be the restructuring and repurposing of genetic features that you already have. That's why, like I was talking about with the carcinization of the crab specifically during its embryological development, we can see that it starts off with a lobster-like or shrimp-like tail that develops in curls underneath, and carcinization takes place and it becomes one solid carapace. This happens with spiders too, like I said, to a lesser degree. So we can see this happening. Embryology is a fun topic, and you don't understand it, which is unfortunate because we could discuss it and it'd be fun.
Features to arise de novo. However, it's still influential among the uninformed.
So wait, are you saying that? Yeah, or Hawk's genes are another fun one that arthropods, like the crabs we're talking about, have in spades. And I'm working on a series with R and Raw right now. If you haven't watched it, the first episode is out. It was on trilobites, but it wasn't just on trilobites. We're moving through the whole evolution of arthropods. We're actually going up to arachnomorpha. And get into spiders and tarantulas specifically, which is the part I'm most excited for, obviously. But Aaron already did the first one. I did a lot of research for it and spent a lot of hours working on it. So please go watch it. Give it a thumbs up. For me, love to Aaron for pulling me in on the project. But with we discussed Hawk's genes and how they are. Kind of like the Swiss Army knife of the genetic arsenal that made arthropods so successful early on, because they allowed them to turn limbs into everything. Arachnids turned limbs into lips. They turned mandibles. You know those are the same genes. Those are Hawk's genes. Chelicera's have like little scissor mouth parts that are from Hawk's genes, and their pedipalps are from Hawk's genes, and the reproductive organs are from Hawk's genes. They not de novo, no de novo here, just repurposing pre-existing features to perform different functions. And early on, these were paddles. These were paddles and digging limbs. There are arthropods that still have paddles today and swimming limbs that are very much like the ancestors that lived in the oceans. We have it all, AIG. We have all of that. We know that doesn't have to be de novo. De novo would not be in line with the current model. Rant about Hawk's genes over.
Formed, because it can help evolutionists make the takeaway point that because this example of apparent design can be caused by selection, belief in God is not needed to explain any so-called design in nature. They argue design is simply...
When he says design, he means a pattern in nature that's successful, right? Whatever that pattern may be, whether it's that... this organism has this pattern on its like literally this color pattern, or these genes in this arrangement are successful. It's really it doesn't. AIG, stop it.
Illusionary and can be caused by chance and circumstance given sufficient time.
Selection is not, that's what's so annoying to me too. Chance and circumstances. Selection is not chance. Selection is not circumstances. Selection is organisms deciding what genetics they're going to incorporate with their own to reproduce, or reproduce just by their own if they're reproducing asexually. But it's decided. The organism does choose how its genes are passed on. That is a choice that the organism makes for whatever reason, whatever biological drivers trigger it, whether they're chemical, or we use a lot of visual cues in the animal kingdom. Plants and fungi go a lot by chance. It's where things happen to land, and what goes good goes good, what goes bad goes bad. That's how evolution works. It sculpts the genes of these organisms to be what they are today. So this demand that we have to see, I don't know, de novo changes is really bizarre.
Huxley actually made this point in his original article by segueing from the samurai crab example to several others, stating, there are plenty of other equally surprising examples of animals or plants acquiring a protective resemblance to other animals or plants or to inanimate objects.
Batesian mimicry. Yeah, he's going to dispute that mimicry is a thing too. Like I talked about eye spots earlier before. There's also one of my favorite favorite moths, the Atlas moth. They're huge, like monsters. But they when they don't know they look like a snake, but then when they feel when they're like feeling relaxed and stuff and they're chilling like on a branch, they'll lay their wings in such a way that it looks like a coiled up snake laying on the branches, so nobody messes with them. They don't know that that's why that nobody messes with them. They just evolved alongside organisms that avoided snakes. So the more success that the offspring had with these patterns, the more prominent those patterns become in the population. Ergo, evolution.
Of course, the more astute here will realize the rather deceptive nature of this debate tactic. You simply begin with an example you claim has been proven, to therefore knowing that several other examples of this must also have happened.
That mimicry is proven? Are you disputing that? Like that insects evolved to look like leaves, for instance, or butterfly eye spots, or a non-venomous king snake evolving to look like a coral snake? Are you disputing that that's not the reason why the offspring were successful, because they resembled something else and it made them capable of surviving predators or what have you? Usually it's predators in this situation. These are features that allow them to escape predators. Sometimes they're bright colors though. There's also you go the opposite direction, like I said with the coral snake, that to be brightly colored to deter predators. And there are crabs that use that bright coloration to try to deter predators.
Which weren't observed, of course. The most incredible thing is, none of that matters anyway, because the whole man-crab myth and its related evidences are a complete sham. Listen to the following quotes from Dr. Joel Martin, analyzing the literature describing the supposed samurai crabs. Interesting reading, but it isn't true. Now, for those evolutionists who'd like to...
Now, I've got this article pulled up here, and I read it. I'm not going to make you guys read it. It's really not... not as much to it as that, But, yeah, you read this article, and he's disputing the claim that these crabs evolved this characteristic in order to deter fishermen from harvesting them from the sea. And that's true. They did not evolve this feature to deter fishermen from harvesting them from the sea. So that's not a claim that anybody's making. That's not a claim that Huxley made on the very first thing that you said. That's not a claim that anybody's making currently. As far as what Sagan said, I can admit that the language that he used there does kind of imply that. I don't believe that that's what he meant. It could be that Sagan's understanding of evolution was more or less developed. I'm not saying that that's true, but I don't know. The world's understanding of evolution in the 70s was less developed, though. And again, I think that it is being presented in sort of a Lamarckian light there in those Sagan quotes. I don't know what you want to do with that. Sagan wasn't exactly a biologist, so he may, and again, I think that he was simplifying that. So that seems to be what this is all hinged on, is what Carl Sagan said, right?
Differ. Understand something. This isn't an idle comment from some crazy creationist. Martin's research as a marine biologist centers on the life histories of decapod.
Because of the timing on it, I've been going pretty good at this. I'm not going to risk it and continue down this route with AIG at the moment. I'm annoyed at I think it's got to be AIG. I don't think it would be Spirit Science. I thought I was making in plenty of insertions and copy or in commentary enough to be fair use. I thought I was talking over it too much. Honestly, I was like, I'm never going to get through this if I don't let it play a little bit, because I was stopping it every 20 seconds when he said something stupid. You know what? Let me try something. I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to mute him and turn on the closed captions. And I'm going to read his parts. Marine biologist on the Center of Life, his stories of decapods, brachiopods, crustaceans was associated with the curator of invertebrate zoology at the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles. He is a committed evolutionist, but his scientific knowledge and arguments absolutely destroy the main elements of this mythical, his word, samurai crab. For starters, the idea that this historical battle began the superstitious process that would have evolved the crab. It seems likely that the man crab legend even preceded the date of the battle of Danora, blah, blah, blah. But the events, he's losing me. Hold on. My eyes are having trouble focusing the way it's fast, how fast it's moving. Anyway, the grooves and external indications of supportive ridges called apodemes inside the crab's carapace that serve as sites for muscle attachments. Again, this is AIG operating under the assumption 2 weeks in a row is sus to me too, babe. That's why I'm just reading. Yeah, I'm it's the they, yeah. People are trying to keep me from getting the 1,000, spread that conspiracy around. You can try to silence the hive, but we will rise. I don't know. I'm so close to the 1K. I'm annoyingly close, and now for them to keep chopping my I'm almost to 950 now. Almost to 950 right now. So close to 950. And after that, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away, right? I'm excited for it, but they keep striking my channel. I mean, I'm back up to, I think I actually have one more viewer than I had before they took the first stream down. So hello. Hello, and everybody, thank you for coming back. Yeah, maybe it's because I'm controversial now. This controversial YouTube channel that keeps getting taken down because she's covering the real topics. She's attacking AIG and going after History Channel for science misinformation. And the man is trying to stop her. Why are they doing this to the bumblebee? Why? What did I do? All I'm trying to do is bring you real science. I'm trying to make this right for the world. Don't listen to what AIG says. Don't listen to what History Channel says when they're telling you about ancient aliens. And if they try to tell me that I can't correct them publicly, that is censorship. But what happened here is not a violation of my freedom of speech. I'm going to say that right now. I think that if someone struck my channel and it wasn't just algorithm, that if someone actually came at me, that was some BS, because I'm just doing a response video, a science response video, and you can see that. So if you did that, I get why you did that, and yeah, this is for you. If the bot got me because I played too long of a clip of at a certain point and it picked up on that, that's my own stupidity. I'll have to look back and see how long I let it play for and try to keep it trimmed when I do this and make sure that I was thinking I was stopping at least every 30 seconds to a minute. I've let other stuff run on for 2 minutes and never got a strike. I see other people covering channels and letting it go on for a long time too. It's an interesting coincidence that these kinds of restrictions are coming on the heels of the new Jesus ad campaign that's hitting the Super Bowl in major networks. That is an interesting thought. They don't want to be associated with my anti-creationist content. I don't think was Jesus a creationist? I bet Kit Hovind thinks Jesus was a creationist. But AIG thinks Jesus was a creationist. I don't know. I don't think, is it in scripture somewhere where it says Jesus was a creationist? If he was wrong. It's okay to be wrong, even if you're the savior. It means that I think that it demonstrates that he wasn't divine. But he's definitely not wrong. Anyway, we're just gonna end it there. I don't want to risk getting things chopped off here for Creation Watch. So I'm gonna pop over to HiveScience. This is just gonna be a short section, I guess. This got a cut part, but we got more HiveScience to come, so no worries here. And I may continue on a little bit further since I got cut off. But I'll see you over there. Yeah, I don't think I'm even gonna include this in. Well, I might if I do. Yeah. Thank you for watching Creation Watch. We got sniped for covering AIG and responding to AIG. I am going to fight it, but we're going to stop right here until I do. And if I can get this taken care of, I will finish this freaking video and I will give them my final thoughts on the samurai crab nonsense, because they are misrepresenting the arguments as presented by the scientific community. The only place where they cited anybody making the claims that they're making was in a pop science television program. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys that are watching this live over in HiveScience in a moment. For those of you watching this on Wednesday with Creation Watch, I will see you Friday for CryptoCorner. Please remember to be kind, take care, and I will see you next time.
This legend raises a lovely problem. How does it come about that the face of a warrior is cut on the carapace of a Japanese crab? How could it be? The answer seems to be that humans made this face. But how? Like many other features, the patterns on the back or carapace of this crab are inherited. But among crabs, as among humans, there are many different hereditary lines. Now, suppose purely by chance, among the distant ancestors of this crab, there came to be one which looked just a little bit like a human face. Long before the battle, fishermen may have been reluctant to eat a crab with a human face. In throwing it back into the sea, they were setting into motion a process of selection. If you're a crab and your carapace is just ordinary, the humans are going to eat you. But if it looks a little bit like a face, they'll throw you back and you'll be able to have lots of nice little baby crabs that all look just like you. As many generations passed of crabs and fisher folk alike, the crabs with patterns that look most like a samurai face preferentially survived. Until eventually, there was produced not just a human face, not just a Japanese face, but the face of a samurai warrior. All this has nothing to do with what the crabs might want. Selection is imposed from the outside. The more you look like a samurai, the better your chances of survival. Eventually, there are a lot of crabs that look like samurai warriors.